So, okay. I'm going to take off my mask to talk. My name is Nelson. I guess everyone knows. And first, I want to thank everybody for coming to attend my father's funeral memorial service. And I want to, with that, I would like Mr. Wang, I guess you'll be next.
Let's read the scripture first, okay? I'll say it in Chinese first and then in English. 喺聖經入邊，傳道書喺第3章嘅第1節、第2節同埋第4節咁講嘅。凡事都有定期，天下萬物都有定時，生有時，死有時，栽種有時，拔出所栽種的也有時，哭有時，笑有時，哀慟有時，跳舞有時。In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1, 2, and 4, it said, "There's time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. And a time to mourn, and a time to dance." 我哋或者嚟做低頭做一個祈禱，我都會祈禱係用中文，跟住係用英文嘅。滿有慈悲嘅天父，我哋感謝同埋讚美你係創造天地萬物嘅主宰，亦都係用你嘅形象嚟到創造我哋，俾我哋每一個人都有恩賜同埋技能，係大家互相嚟到服侍。多謝你今日早上將我哋擺喺一齊，係向劉伯伯作最後嘅道別同埋紀念佢。多謝你俾佢有在世70、97歲嘅長壽。當我哋紀念佢嘅時候，紀念到佢係一個忠誠嘅丈夫，係一個家庭嘅支柱，係俾兒女一個勤奮嘅榜樣，係一個慈愛嘅祖父同埋曾祖父，係同埋我哋一個忠實嘅朋友。我哋好懷念佢嘅笑容，因為佢嘅笑容係好真實同埋好溫暖。多謝你俾劉伯伯係有一雙好嘅眼睛同埋一對好靈活嘅手，成為一個極好嘅裁縫師，嚟養活一家，嚟到俾佢教養佢嘅子女成才。多謝你俾劉伯伯喺退休咁多年之中，同埋劉伯母喺一齊同弄孫為樂。我哋今日係將劉伯伯嚟到擺上，紀念到一切嘅好處同埋佢對家人嘅愛。我喺呢度求神係俾劉伯伯、劉伯母係有格外同埋有家人有額外嘅平安同埋力量，亦都係為在座嘅親戚朋友而禱告。未認識你嘅時候，求神你都開佢哋眼同埋開佢哋嘅眼睛認識你。多謝主，我哋祈禱感恩都係奉主耶穌基督名而求。Let's pray in English, okay? Dear merciful God, we're grateful and thank you that you're the creator of this universe, and you have made us in your image. Give us gifts and talents with which to serve each other. Thank you for enabling us here this morning to say the final goodbye to Mr. Lau and remember his goodness. Thank you that you gave him a long 97 years life on earth. Let's remember him as he was a faithful husband, a provider to his family, and a great example to instill the value of hard work to his children, a beloved grandfather and great-grandfather, and a loyal friend to us. His laughing was so generous and warm. We know that Mr. Lau was an excellent Shanghainese tailor. He was blessed with a good pair of eyes and a good pair of hands to make a living and raise and taught his children, of whom what they become successful today. Thank you for giving him so many years of retirement life to enjoy with Mrs. Lau and his family and all his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We leave him up to you today in honor of the goods we saw in him and the love that we felt from him. Lord, please give Mrs. Lau and his family the extra strength and extra peace, and pray that for those here this morning who hasn't known you yet, Lord, please open their mind and touch their hearts, and someday we'll get to know you. We thank you. We pray all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, the next the acknowledgements and the condolences received, and I want to thank everybody. Okay, so anyway, the next we will have obituary reading by Mr. Wong, and yeah, Jensen, later on you can turn on the video after we finish the obituary.
我哋今日呢度咧，就其實咧就紀念一個好嘅朋友，好偉大嘅父親丈夫啊，同埋祖父曾祖父劉石巨先生。喺今年嘅2020年嘅8月4號咧，係星期二。劉石巨先生，其實我哋廣東話其實嗰句咧，佢有個花名嘅，其實咧叫做得㗎啦嚇，廣東話你知㗎啦嚇，佢咩意思？上海話嚟講咧，窿學㗎嚇，即係上海人識聽啊！即係其實咧話俾佢聽咧，即係佢一個 he's a very good OK person 啊！佢就離開咗我哋，係有神俾咗佢有97歲嘅長壽，我哋好感恩。劉石巨先生咧係1922年9月1號喺中國浙江省出生。佢劉先生好幸福啊，有個好好嘅太太黃玉珍。佢哋咧夾埋就係有3個男，係2個男係3個女嘅，係啊財信啊、知英、瑞英、瑞發同埋瑞芳啊。佢哋一共咧係有6個嘅孫同埋3個嘅曾孫啊。劉伯伯，我哋通常咧，我係好好朋友叫做劉伯伯。佢咧就係其實咧就係受過2年嘅正式教育，但係咧。佢咧就好深信一樣做人嘅原則咧，就叫做其恕乎己所不欲，勿施於人啊！佢做嘅宗旨咧，就係自己唔想嘅嘢，亦都唔會加喺人哋嗰度嘅嚇。劉石巨先生係上海師傅嚟嘅，其實我哋如果係老一輩人都知道咧，做裁縫咧喺上海嗰度咧就係一個好專門嘅行業嚟嘅。佢由9歲開始。係做呢個行業，做咗幾廿年，直到佢退休，係75歲嘅左右。嗱，得閒嘅時候咧，我哋叫劉伯伯咧，好中意去旅行同埋打麻雀嘅。I will say in English, okay? In loving memory of the greatest husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, relative, and friends. On Tuesday, August 4th, 2020, Mr. Xi Zhiliu, which was known as Mr. OK, is basically when you translate English, Mr. OK, peacefully passed away at age 97 and surrounded by his family. Mr. Lau was born on September 1st, 1922 in Qikang, China. He was truly blessed. He was survived by his loving wife, Yu Zhen, 2 sons, 3 daughters, two sons, Nelson and Joseph, 3 daughters, Eugene, Cecilia, and Agnes. And have altogether they have 6 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. Mr. Lau only had a 2 years formal education, but he believed Confucius' philosophy of basically translated to what you do not wish for yourself, do not do to others. Miss Lau was a professional Shanghainese tailor, which makes traditional custom dress for ladies, a trade that he learned at the age of 9, and cherished his life until his retirement in 75. In the leisure time that he enjoyed traveling and especially like to pay mahjong. I think many of you here has been paying mahjong with him, right? And we just pray that he live peacefully in heaven now. Lord, just thank you very much.
I think I'm going to speak while you are hearing the music, okay? Like I said before, friends and relatives, thank you very much for taking time during this stressful pandemic to attend this memorial service of our father, Long Shiju, passing. He passed away peacefully at 12:05 a.m. 4 August at the age of 97, which you already heard. Just 1 month short of 98. Now, this is a non-traditional funeral service. Instead of sadness, crying on his passing, I would like everyone here to feel enlightened with our fond memories of him. So I would like to say a few words about my father's life history and that he shared with me. He was born in a village called Guangzhou, Zhuji, Zhejiang province in China on September 1, 1922. He had only 2 years of formal education schooling because his father, my grandfather, passed away at a very young age, around 40. So my grandmother became a widow and was unable to raise her 5 children by herself. So my father was sent to a tailor shop at age 9 to be an apprentice, to learn the trade of making traditional Chinese long dresses in the city of Hangzhou, about 70 miles away from his hometown. However, the tailor master was a very abusive man. He constantly beat up my father very badly. My father decided that he should run away, okay? And there was no GPS at that time, you know. And at age 9, he only remembered that there was a railroad track near the village. So he figured if he followed the railroad track, he should be able to go home. Luckily, he picked the right direction, south. He finally arrived home after non-stop running. If he had picked the north direction, he would have never arrived home. Just imagine your life at 9 years old. His mother, my grandmother, was really saddened to see that her son was beaten up so badly, with black and blue marks on his face and all over his body by his tailor master, who was supposedly to teach him the tailoring trade. So she called the police, but the tailor master ran away hiding. And shortly after, my father was sent to another tailor shop, and the second tailor master was a much nicer man and taught him the trade of making long dresses that he cherished throughout his life. Okay. Now, at age 24, he was introduced to two young ladies who were pounding rice out of the raw grains at that time. It was suggested that he could pick one as his future partner, life partner. Well, love at first sight. He picked the 17-year-old young girl. He got married shortly and remained married happily till his recent passing. In 1950, my father and mother decided to cross the China southern border and escape to Hong Kong, where he initially worked for a tailor shop. Gradually, he was able to save enough money to open his own tailor shop called the Golden Star Fashion. And he became pretty successful and was able to hire up to 20 tailors to make custom fit dresses for clients. Each dress would take about 1 man day to make. I myself even helped him in delivering some of those dresses to the clients. He was always kind to all his workers, and all of them became his friends. I remember he even helped out a drug addict tailor to work for him in order to persuade him to get rid of the drug habit. In his leisure time, he enjoyed playing a game of mahjong, a very complex Chinese block game, which earned him an honorary degree of MJ, Master of Mahjong. He had great memories. He often rode buses. Without knowing English, he knew all the bus routes, numbers, and their respective destinations. Which station to get off to get food, which station to get off to use restroom facilities. He often ordered fish burger at McDonald's using the sign language of fish swimming. Okay, and the McDonald's staff will understand that he wanted a fish burger. He even led tour groups of his friends to visit different places, such as Universal Studios, Santa Monica Beaches, Long Beach, Disneyland, and even once by himself to San Diego. Now, he could speak many different Chinese dialects, such as Mandarin, Shanghainese, Cantonese, Zhejianese, and native Fujianese. However, quite often he mixed the different dialects together So as a result, people had a difficult time of understanding exactly what he was saying. He was also a very brave man. Before I got married, and while he was still living in Hong Kong, I had invited him to visit me in Los Angeles for about 2 weeks. My fiancée Clara and I would take turns to show him different sightseeing places in Southern California area. Because I lived and worked in Pasadena at the time, he got pretty familiar with Pasadena. Many times he would ride my bicycle to explore Pasadena himself. However, one time he rode a bike and entered the 210 freeway towards the west direction. Okay, and some drivers were honking at him. He was wondering why they were honking at him. Okay, in his mind, he was sharing the road and going in the same direction as the traffic, as the car drivers were. And then, why were they honking at him? After riding for about 20 minutes on the freeway without meeting any highway patrol, he figured that was far enough. Then he rode the bike towards the center divider wall and carried the bike over the wall and then head back to the east direction to get back to my apartment. So later, he asked me why were the car drivers honking at him. Shouldn't everyone share the road? I was shocked and terrified when he told me what he did. I was glad that he was safe. Then I explained and showed him the green and the red freeway sign that no bicycle or person walking should enter those exit on-ramp or the exit ramps. Now, food was always on top of his list of importance for himself as well as for others. Though he never cooked. However, when my family went to visit him at his home, he would always ask if we had already eaten yet and offer us what my mother had already prepared. Even when we visit him in the Monterey Park convalescent home, he would offer us to help ourselves to get the food. And I sometimes I tease him and will ask him, where is the food? And he will respond, in the kitchen. Okay, he thinks he was at home. Today, we all, his children, Nelson, myself, Ziying, Cecilia, Joseph, and Annis, son-in-law, Chilo, Robert, daughters-in-law, Clara, Evita, his grandchildren, Xiaoli, Li Yong, Erling, Jensen, Stephanie, and Brian, his grandson-in-law, San Diego, and great-granddaughter, Madeline, would like to share some of our fond memories of this wonderful man with you. My fond memories of my father is that he was always happy and easygoing person. If the sky fell, he would consider that a warm blanket. Everything is Douglas or Hoga, which means okay. So I nicknamed Mr. Douglas. Well, life is always a time travel journey from birth to end of one's life cycle. We are all here on a time travel journey. The journey of my father's life lasted 97 plus years. Okay, just 1 month short of 98. Slightly longer than his mother, my grandmother, who passed away at age 96. He had been in convalescent home for nearly 3 years. When I visit him, I always play some nice and soft Chinese love song in YouTube with my cell phone. And I ask him if he liked the songs. He will always respond, "Hao Ting," very good, which means very nice to listen to. As a dedication of fond memories of him, I have asked my son, Jensen, to prepare a memorial video of many of his photos taken with us, and also embed a few of those love songs that I always play for him, as you have been hearing during this service. Thank you, Jensen, for preparing the video, a wonderful video, Yeh Yeh Memorial. Okay. Jensen will download the memorial video onto YouTube, so all relatives and friends who could not be here can view my father's life and happiness on YouTube. Also, I'd like to thank all those who provided photos for the memorial video. The YouTube link is, if you do a search, it's called Yeh Yeh Memorial, YEH Memorial. The success of this memorial service is a credit to team effort. I would like to thank the following members of the team: Cecilia and Alice for coordinating the event planning for the memorial service, Clara for memorial procedural and editorial guidance, and Jensen for preparing the wonderful video, memorial video. All those who provided memorable photos for the video. Joseph for traveling all the way, risking his health in flying from Atlanta by plane during this time of COVID-19 pandemic. And Mr. Alfred Wong for scripture and spiritual prayers, guidance and obituary. Mr. John Wong for memorial service procedural guidance, and all Rose Hill Memorial Service staff for all the care and services. Well, I have said enough of my father. Now I would like to ask if anyone else who would like to share a few words of any of their fond memories of my father. So, anybody want to? Okay, Cecilia would like to say something. So.
My memory of my beloved father, who was always happy with positive attitude, even though he was very poor at young age and early part of adulthood. He always appreciated what he had, being surrounded by his children and grandchildren. He never envied or compared himself and his children with other people. He enjoyed telling us childhood stories and events. My father never gave me any pressure nor punishment when I grew up. He was like my buddy, and I can talk to him comfortably on anything. He always tries his best to provide what he can to his children, even when he endured financial hardship. One of my fond memories happened when I was in 8th grade. I went out with my father to help him deal with manufacture on his garment business. I saw 2 pairs of school dress shoes that I liked when we passed by a shoe shop. Dad told me that he would buy for me if I like it. But it was a tough decision to select one because I love both styles. Dad went ahead to buy both of a pair of shoes for me. I was afraid of my mother would get mad when discovering it. My dear sweet dad held me secretly, hiding them those 2 pair of new shoes when we get home. And then he smuggled each pair one by one on a different day without my mom's awareness. All the children, grandchildren, and my friends loved my dad, and remember, he always had happy smiles and very friendly whenever they saw him. His famous line was "Hogga hogga" on everything. Dad, I love you, and I know we will meet again someday in other world. I want to speak in Chinese so my mother can understand.
Are you going to tell her the shoe story?
Huh?
Are you going to tell her the shoe story?
媽媽有冇耳筒機？
聽到嘅。
媽媽，聽我講中文嚇。我好懷念我爸爸。我爸爸永遠係一個係好正向同埋開心嘅人。雖然佢年輕嘅時候係好窮，我哋長大嘅環境亦都係好窮，但係我爸爸永遠係好開心，俾啲細路仔，俾啲孫啊、兒女啊圍繞住佢，同埋佢好中意同我哋講關於佢以前細個時嘅經歷嘅趣事，但係佢從來唔會話我幾苦啊，佢只係同我哋講佢係開心嘅趣事。由細到大，爸爸從來冇打過我，亦都從來冇俾壓力我。佢好似我哋嘅好朋友一樣，我哋可以隨時攬來攬去，錫來錫去。我哋亦都冇覺得好似通常嘅中國人嘅父親係好嚴肅，我哋唔敢同佢講嘢，我哋係隨時都可以同佢講任何嘢，佢都唔會嬲，所以我哋唔需要話每一句講出嚟都會心驚膽跳。佢盡佢所能，盡佢嘅力量嚟供應我哋讀書生活，雖然係好窮困。但係我哋永遠都唔會話遺憾，覺得呢分都，因為我知道爸爸係盡佢嘅所能。我最懷念嘅經歷就係有一次我8年班嗰陣時，因為爸爸以前做裁縫嘅生意做得唔好之後，佢決定要做成衣女裝嘅成衣生意，但係我爸爸嘅眼光係挑選衣服係好差嘅，所以呢。我讀 Grade 8嗰陣時，8年班嗰陣時，我就要出嚟幫佢手，去嗰啲廠家嗰度睇，挑選質料、挑選款式、挑選 size 嚟幫忙佢。然後有一次，我哋一齊去完個廠家嗰度之後，我哋經過一個鞋鋪，我見到。因為我哋以前咧只係可以1年買1次鞋嘅啫，係新年嘅時候。但係嗰次唔係新年，我哋經過，我見到個鞋，我好中意。咁爸爸話：你中意嘅話，我買俾你啦。但係我2對都中意。咁爸爸話：唔緊要，我2對都買俾你。其實我哋嘅環境唔係咁好嘅，但係咧爸爸話唔緊要。咁我又驚媽媽會鬧我哋。因為媽媽睇得啲錢好緊嘅，爸爸話唔緊要，佢靜靜地、偷偷地幫我收埋，咁間中攞1對出嚟，間中攞1對出嚟，咁就我媽媽就冇咁注意，所以爸爸係可以同我哋一齊同流合污嚟欺騙我媽媽嘅 ，OK。咁咧，我啲朋友咧，中學朋友，所有兒時嘅朋友，所有嘅孫啊仔女都好喜歡同埋好愛我爸爸嘅，因為佢永遠都係帶住一個微笑，係好溫暖嘅微笑對待任何人。OK， 佢嘅my brothers， 我哥哥講，佢嘅最出名嘅語言咧就係、永遠都係你講任何嘢，佢都話錯㗎，好嘅。連佢住喺老人院入邊，佢都覺得自己係住5星級酒店嘅，佢從來唔會話投訴任何嘢。
所以今次爸爸雖然係好遺憾離開我哋，但係我亦都係好高興爸爸冇受過任何痛苦，好快喺3日之間就去天國，去天國會見我嘅嫲、我嘅大伯同埋我嘅堂大佬，佢將會係有人同佢喺上面打麻雀，所以喺棺材入邊呢，我哋放咗一副佢最 favorite 嘅、最愛嘅麻雀喺個棺材入邊陪伴住佢，同埋佢中意聽嘅音帶陪住佢。OK， 爸爸，我哋個個都係好愛你，我哋將會喺第2個世界入邊再相聚。多謝。
多謝你哋嚟參加我爸爸嘅thank you for Clara. Welcome all to attend my father's memorial. And I always have fond memory to my father. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. Never blame anybody for anything, even though his upbringing was tough. He set a great example for my life. He's my guiding light, and I live my life of his example. Always work hard, always treat people nice, be a nice person. Everything will be okay. This I learned and never forget in my life. And I remember I live in Georgia. I come about twice a month. He would take a bus all the way. I tell him what time I will arrive. He'll come to the LA airport waiting for me, and we drive home. And I often take him to one of the things he enjoyed, to go massage. I said, Dad, let's go massage. He said, he just get right out and let's go. You know? So he's in a happy other side of the world right now. And then I would never forget my father's kindness to everybody and a happy attitude all through his life. Even he has to go through all his difficulty, he never complained. And that's the great memory of my father. And I thankfully have a father like that, and I will treasure that forever for the rest of my life. Thank you very much.
OK， 好多謝你嚟參加我爸爸嘅喪禮。我爸爸係一個好開心嘅人 ，never get upset， 成日都係好開心咁笑嘅。遇到任何困難，佢都唔會唔開心。我爸爸係好好記性嘅一個人，佢中意搭巴士周圍咁樣走嘅。就可以由朝頭早一路搭到夜晚黑翻屋企都可以嘅。我記得有一次我係翻工嗰時，我然後蒙查查到自己嘅手袋都冇拎，就出門口揸車翻到公司，先發覺自己冇攞手袋。咁我打電話俾我爸爸，佢可以好聰明咁樣識得搭巴士由 Monterey Park 去到 San Marino， 交翻個手袋俾我。我啲同事都好感覺好驚奇，你爸爸咁醒目嘅，佢哋個個都好 proud， 我有個咁好嘅爸爸，又見到佢係開開心心咁笑嘅。爸爸，我永遠都懷念你。如果有來生嘅話，我希望能夠再做你嘅女。Thank you for coming to my father's funeral. My father is a very happy person, always smiling, never get upset. And then he liked to take bus to go around all day long, to Long Beach, to Santa Monica, anywhere. He know how to go take the bus. And also, I remember one time I forgot to bring my handbag to go to work. I called him, and then he can, so smart that he can know how to take the bus from Monterey Park to San Marino to give me my handbag. My co-worker is also shocked that your father is so smart and then know how to take the bus. And then I told them, oh, this is his favorite habit. He'd like to take bus every day. So, Father, I wish you with Grandma in the heaven, and then we will meet each one day eventually. And then if I know if I have a second life, I want to be your daughter again. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Anyone?
以后需要，假如有什么事，我能够回报，我也可以回报。就是说，我就是说能有多少能力，我跟我叔叔一样的，我也可以做，就是这样子。今朝娘，我谢谢侬，我真的是非常之心里永远都谢谢那个国家呢。娘能听到吧？啊？娘，能听到我讲闲话啊？能听到吧？我非常之国家的。听到。听到。我一定要一个好起来啊
OK， 听到。
听到。好，就这样子，多谢大家。就像顾小丫侬，还有我看啊，小丫。好，那讲起，可以，有辰光可以翻译吗？
但是没有。
你。
So I'm translating for my mother. This is her uncle. She can't believe that he's gone. She feels that he's still here, and I know that throughout my mother that has known my grand uncle, that she feels as long as her uncle was here, her own father was here in this world as well. It's been a difficult time for our family, and when she came to California, her uncle's family, children, her cousins, were open arms, especially to my sister, who was having difficult times during her teenage years. She's very grateful to her uncle, her family, cousins. I think if it wasn't for her uncle, she feels that she wouldn't be the person she is today. She saw him as a role model, as a person that she looked up to, just like her father. And she thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'll attest to the fact that Mr. Lau is just very generous and very kind. I met my husband when I started right out of high school, almost immediately started college, and I had a full load, and I had only one purpose in mind: get that degree, because I know that there's a lot of opportunities in education, and I love education. And I met my husband, who was in one of my classes. And when he found out I was a new student, he was very nice. Do you know how to get to the next building? And so he liked to get to know me better. And I said, no, I don't have time. And my father would pick me up. And he said, can I meet your dad? I said, no, thank you. And so somehow he figured out what time I went. And my father came to pick me up. And there was Nelson with a big smile. And he extended the hand to my dad. And my dad was in shock. He said, I thought you came to study. I said, I did. So that's where we didn't know any Chinese. And so I found Nelson very interesting because he had all this history of China and the dynasties, and we don't really read about that here in the United States. So it was very pleasant to talk to him. And so I believe when he went to Hong Kong and mentioned to his mother that he was interested in marrying someone, the first thing she asked was, is she Chinese? And when he said she wasn't, then that word foreigner came up. So here I had a dad who was in shock, and then I had his family who was in shock. So we just looked at each other and says, well, we have a lot in common, so we'll just go our way and so forth. So my father was resisted all the way, and he refused to show up for the wedding. He just didn't care for that. But what's interesting is that when Mr. Lau met my dad, he got him by the hand, and he walked with him. If we were going shopping or something, he would, and my father looked at him. You know, Mr. Lau is very petite. My father is a lot bigger man. And we Hispanics do not hold hands. Men do not hold hands. We meet people, we may hug them, and we're very friendly and kiss them on the cheek, but that's it. When we go down the street, men do not hug. So my father looked at him, and he turned around to me and says, what is this? I told him, well, he's trying to be very friendly because he doesn't speak Spanish, and you don't speak Chinese, and you don't speak English, and he doesn't speak English, so he's trying to make the best of it. So after we were married, Mr. Lau was very much in holding his hand, and being there when we had get-togethers. He'd make a point of to be there. My father started showing up more, and then he realized, you know, they're a very nice family. So I think my husband and I have the same philosophies, except that I've told him that I eat to live. I mean, just enough just to get going with my goals. I have goals and I concentrate and I just go for it. And then I noticed that no matter what we were doing, he'd take time to eat. And I was like, we haven't finished. This is the goal. And he said, well, I like to work to eat. So we're kind of a little bit different on that. So when Mr. Lau came from Hong Kong, and Nelson asked me, could you take some time off your schedule to take him to Disneyland? I said, certainly. So my goal, here we are, goal, is to show him as much as possible, all the rides, kind of see what lines we could get and get as much as possible in it. Just as I do in any other thing. I took as many classes straight out of high school. I was already taking 12, 16 units. When I went to work, you know, I was interested in getting that goal, so I would eat through my lunch hour, making sure my reports, and if I felt I had to review it, I'd come in on a Saturday, so I was always work-oriented. So when I was showing him around Disneyland, I was having a great time. It looked like he was having a great time. I forgot all about eating. I didn't think about it. It's like, what's the next ride? What else are we going to do? So he mentioned the phone, and so I got him go to a phone. He called up my husband, and he said, could you please tell Clara that I do need time to have lunch? And it's already like about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So there were a little bit of differences in that, but overall, my family came to accept the whole Lau family. And I felt Mr. Lau was very kind all through. No matter what happened, what discussion, he'd always come over, pat me on the back, just like, everything's fine, everything's fine. So my husband and I have been happily married for 45 years, so I guess that it worked out. And we have 2 beautiful children, and we like education a lot, so we had mentioned to the children, we both, that after kindergarten there's something else, and after that there's high school. And they both said, well, what degree did you get, Mom? And I said, my daddy and I both have masters. And they both said, well, even though they were very small, they said, we're sure we'll top that. And so we're happy to say that they have. So we retired, and I'm still very much involved in education, just working with the children, talking to the principals, trying to get fundraisers for them. So we both, my husband and I both have a teaching credential on top of our regular profession. So we've been very busy, and we've really enjoyed Mr. Lau a lot. His very positive outlook and his open arms to myself, my family, and he was able to turn my dad around and my family. And so when my dad passed away, and he organized his own funeral, he picked the church, he picked this, the scripture, everything. So I asked him, where would you like to invite everyone for lunch after the funeral? And we had been going to so many different Chinese restaurants and so forth that he actually had a favorite. So he said, I'd like to invite the whole family. So the whole Hispanic family and the whole Chinese family went to the Chinese restaurant afterwards. So I think very nicely of Mr. Lau. I can't think of anything that he had that wasn't so kind and so welcoming to me. If you remember.
Wow, that's a long story. I didn't expect our love stories to be revealed here. Okay. Anyway, we met in Cal State. I was already sophomore, and she.
You have to pass in a little bit of Chinese.
Okay. I forgot. I have to translate into Chinese. 因為我哋咧就係南加州大學嗰個Southern California， 即係加州大學嘅 Los Angeles 加州大學碰面到嘅，咁啊，我覺得佢啊幾好，咁佢又覺得我幾好啊，就咁我哋就即係 love at first sight，OK， so 咁咧就後尾咧就因為我同我屋企人啊嘛，我就要結婚啊，咁佢哋問係咩人，係咪中國人啊？因為佢哋咧即係希望我帶一個中國人娶一個中國人，咁啊我話唔係啊，即係美國人嚟㗎嗱，咁啊後尾咧咁我哋即係結婚，佢話45年，實際我而家就47歲啫嘛，係嘛？冇理由當調轉咗咁咧就後尾咧佢屋企咧又佢個爸爸咧又即係大家嗰啲唔同嘅墨西哥人咁啊同中嘅可能即係大家都唔會。佢話後尾咧即係經過長期嘅時間咧，咁佢爸爸都覺得中國人都幾好啊同我屋企咧就墨西哥人都幾好啊，美國人都幾好啊，係嘛？佢咧就因為佢屋企又唔係好有錢嘅，又係即係咁佢咧就最主要咧就即係勤力讀書即係專心讀書咁我哋就大家一齊過差唔多5年啊，或者我68年係加州嗰個加州大學Los Angeles洛杉磯加州大學，我哋差唔多過咗我哋75年結婚，68年都係差唔多7年啦，你見到我爸爸咧就佢對我太太好好嘅所以我太太咧就即係好欣賞我個爸爸，因為我爸爸成日都好開心嘅嗰個故事，因為有時我請佢嚟美國即係度假2個禮拜，啱啱我有時嗰時咧公司有忙，咁我哋2個人咧就分頭，即係車我爸爸去呢度嗰度玩咁有時咧佢就帶佢去落 Disneyland Disneyland 咧，因為佢通常咧唔食都冇所謂嘅，但係咧我爸爸係香港嚟嘅，佢一日食5餐6餐嘅喺香港即係做咗成時嘅2點鐘3點鐘就未食嘢嘅，因為佢咧就希望快啲坐呢個啦，快啲玩嗰個啦，後尾咧因為未走之前咧我就寫咗啲中文、英文，即係有啲keyword 例如打電話啦、食嘢啦佢咧就話肚餓啦，但係咧佢又聽唔懂，佢唔知佢講乜嘢。後尾咧到2、3點鐘咧，佢打電話俾我，佢話實在頂唔順啦，要買啲嘢食俾佢食。我話 話俾佢聽嘅啲嘢食。呢啲係佢哋language problem，佢哋言語唔同。咁啊，OK，anything I think that's.
Like you say, we celebrated our 45th in China and your mother's birthday.
哦，yeah，佢話俾我聽啦，因為我哋75年結婚，咁啊結婚之後咧79年啦，翻香港，咁啊翻香港咧，我爸爸媽媽咧又喺香港即係整個宴會，即係好似結婚飲酒咁啊，請咗好多嗰啲香港啲親戚朋友咁啊，即係我哋好似有2個 wedding banquet 咁啊，一個喺呢度美國，咁啊4年之後去香港，我爸爸媽媽咧又有一個大嘅宴會，即係慶祝我哋嘅結婚啊。就
Did you explain about the eating first and working last and so forth?
Oh yeah, I already explained that just a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
Hi everybody, my name is Perlin, Nelson and Clara's daughter. While we were hearing such great memories of my grandpa, I thought I'd jot down some that I always reflect back on. So one thing is that he was always happy. He was never upset, as everybody heard. I really loved him, and he just never got mad at us, at the grandkids. And when I went to school, first grade, he picked me up from school every day on his bike. I didn't have a backpack, so he would put my school books in his basket, and then we would ride down Atlantic Boulevard all the way to his house, which would terrify me, but he did it all the time in China and in LA. It didn't faze him, but I got used to it, and I finally got a backpack. Earlier this year, I saw another grandfather in our neighborhood do this with his grandson, and I reflected back on the fond memories that when Yeh Yeh would do that to me. I don't know if any of the other grandkids had that privilege. Definitely for the first year of school, maybe second grade too, I'm not sure, I don't remember that. And on our days off, we would spend the day with Mumu and Yeh Yeh, but he would always take us down on trips on the bus. And he would take us to Long Beach quite frequently, and I would always stare out the window to make sure I knew how to get back home. But he always knew. And one time in Long Beach, we saw some crabs along the rocks. So Yeh Yeh had the great idea to pick up the crabs in a cup and bring them home for Mumu to cook. But she threw them out. They had died on the way back home. And speaking of his great bus routine memory, I was driving to pick up Uncle Joseph one time to the airport, and I missed the exit. And Yeh Yeh, without missing a beat, he's like, "You missed that exit? That was the one to go to LAX." So then I had to get off, and I mean, he knew how to get to the airport. We would always go eat dim sum. I felt like we were there every weekend eating. So I have lots of videos and pictures of him eating. So if anybody wants to see them, I will find them, compile them. And I think maybe about, I don't know, more than 10 years ago, he told me that, he was getting older and that he wanted to make me a chi pao for one day when I was going to get married. And that made me sad, but that made me happy that he had the foresight to think about that and have my wedding day very pretty. So we went all the way to, I think, Beverly Hills, to the store that had like the specific material that he wanted. He told me to get the red material, but I said I wanted pink because I thought that looked prettier. He made it. I tried it on. I didn't like it. I looked like a Pepto-Bismol bottle. So then I told him, I think I want the red one. And he's like, okay. So we went back. We went back to the store like a week or so later, and he made me the red dress, the one that you saw in the video. And my final thing is that I'm super glad that Madeline had a chance to meet him and spend time with him. She would have loved him just as much as we all did. and she would have had a great time with him and his happy demeanor. So thank you.
Okay, if no one else, then this concludes our memorial service. And as far as the video, you can see, just search on YouTube, Yeh Yeh Memorial, and then you will see the full thing. This is about 1 hour long. Now, I especially picked some of the love songs that they're very nice, even though they're love songs, kind of fit into this kind of occasion, because I want to make the occasion to be a happy occasion, a memorable occasion, rather than sad and crying, even though it is sad. But I want everybody to think of fond memories of my father. So this will conclude our service. Okay, thank you very much for coming. Okay, thank you.
鲜花开放满天庭，万紫千红，万紫千红别有春，采得鲜花下人世，好分春色到凡尘。国色天香是无端，百媚千娇花不沾。天上鲜花谁爱护？不如散给有情人，不如来散，来散，来散，来散，来散，来散，来散给有情人。嘿，做皇帝你在行，这话说得太荒唐。什么生意都听过，没听过皇帝这一行，没听过皇帝这一行。
做皇帝要专长，我做皇帝比人强。时代祖传有名望，办起来准像唐明皇。
唐明皇胡子长，赤白春红嘴上光，一点都不像唐明皇。
做一个太监倒相当，难道你见过皇帝的面，知道皇帝胡子長？
誰未見過真？
我哋感謝你喺呢個特別嘅時候，我哋係求神，你都係俾劉伯母嘅家人真係有平安，係有依靠，尤其是喺呢個咁艱難嘅時候，我哋求神你都係眷顧佢嘅家人，俾佢哋有真係有平安同額外嘅平安。我哋感謝你亦都係感謝我哋嘅神，我哋嘅主，我哋祈禱感恩都係奉主耶穌基督名而求。Dear Lord, we thank you that you created us from the dust, and when man finished the journey on earth, we're going back to the dust. We thank you that you gave Mr. Lau a long life on earth and gave him the pleasure of the happiness and also difficulty. Lord, we know that is your will, and also we just thank you that in his last stage of his on the life of earth, that he didn't have much physical pain. Now he has no pain at all. So we just pray that you will rest him on the ground, and that we, especially during this difficult moment, we'd like to ask you to give extra strength and extra peace to Mrs. Lau and his family. Lord, we thank you. We pray all in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
可见过细腻的唐明皇，你没有胡子中不像，只有把家底装一装，装一装。皇帝走路要像样，他要打扮莫匆忙呀，莫匆忙。
家住北京城，20岁还没定过亲。
你来干什么？
我爱上酒家人，我进了酒家门。
你这说话怎么不规矩啊？我哥不在家，今天不卖酒。
卖酒的风情好，比酒更迷人。
我们卖酒做营生，不懂爱也不懂情。
为什么坐立难安，睡不宁？
你说爱又弹琴，存的是什么心？再要不安分，送你进衙门。
阿牛，你别管，把这拿进去。
我好心好意来还手绢，他怎么出口伤人呢？
什么好人心？原来是假真金，人家的手帕给你涂得满天星。
满天星假连成，皇帝提的是皇后绣的凤。
你家戏当成真，欺君罪不轻。
点名叫龙凤，难道就不欺君？
我们龙凤殿人间都知名，皇帝都不管，我劝你少费心。
不必提龙凤，还是论婚姻。你貌美丽，你性聪明，一见就倾心，再见就钟情。